Good morning, world, and welcome to a culture conversation. I'm your host, Hussein, aka Twingq. Today, we have a special guest that's going to be joining our platform. Somebody that's been doing incredible work in the Canadian sports landscape, a former CFL champion, two-time Grey Cup champion, most outstanding player award in the Canadian Grey Cup as well. The Hamilton native, somebody that's built the CEBL and has been doing amazing work throughout building the infrastructure here in Canada. So, with further ado, we're going to introduce our guest, Mike
Hey
Morreale.
guys, how you doing?
Good, good, good. Thank you first and foremost for joining our platform. I know today is opening day and you have a lot of things going on, but we're very grateful for you to be able to take the opportunity to kind of share your story here on the CEBL. So we're definitely grateful to
Oh,
have
my
you.
pleasure to be here. It is a little busy, but let's talk some basketball and some CBL. I'm always up to do that.
Yes, yes, yes. So I wanted to tap into different topics. I guess we're going to start with opening week. I know back in 2019, the inaugural season, you had six teams, and then now you have six teams playing on one night. So just kind of talk about that growth and the parity of the league over the years.
It's funny. I never thought about it that way. That we do have a triple header tonight to start the season, and we got a new team playing in Montreal, and that's pretty exciting. And it's been a journey. Obviously, this is something that you have to have a passion for because you're going to go up and down and all over the place, especially not only just starting a league from scratch like we did in 2019, but getting through COVID and trying to survive and finding cool and different ways to be better and to be recognized and for people to be aware of what we're doing. And I'm happy to sit here today, excited that we got 3 games on, 6 teams playing tonight, and we're into
Yeah.
year 4. I mean, it's gone by like crazy. If I didn't get such a short haircut, I'd have no hair left. But it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, as a basketball purist and somebody that grew up playing at a high respectable level, it's kind of good to see the change in the basketball culture. I used to every summer had to travel to America to play in these like power leagues and these pro-ams because we didn't really have an infrastructure, and if we did, it was like limited. So just understanding now that we have guys that don't need to go overseas and they could play home and get a decent salary and stay in shape is huge. You talk about guys that are participating in for the national team, youth sports players, and professionals overseas or the G League. So just talk about how you were able to build that infrastructure that fit the model for these
Well, I
athletes.
think that, the problem you faced was faced by lots and lots and lots of Canadian basketball players. That was, where do you play at home? How can you further your career? How can you get noticed? It can't just be a place you come home in the summer to train and that's it. Like we have to build the infrastructure to get there. So we took a look at the basketball landscape and realized that number one, basketball is on a huge trajectory, and number two, no one was really doing anything about it in a real proper way. Um, so when we sat back, 5.5, 6 years ago, we just aimed to build a better mousetrap. Make things better, do it for the right reasons, and create something for Canadians by Canadians. So that was really it. Um, there's a lot of reasons why we're successful, but a lot of it comes from the buy-in from the players. The players see this as a league that is highly respectable, that can get them the opportunity to do whatever they want. We've been successful sending guys to the NBA. We've been successful with our players getting better contracts overseas, go to the G League, go back to youth sports and become MVPs and tournament MVPs, and that's really important. We've provided a home and a highly visible one that's on national television and gets international recognition, and it's in the backyards of where a lot of these people grew up. So, you know, and we play FIBA rules, and FIBA is the game as a country we need to get better at because we're certainly damn good in the NCAA and in the NBA,
Yeah.
but that doesn't translate to international basketball. And international basketball is where you're going to make your mark. There's an announcement yesterday with Team Canada, the roster for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers. There's a nice mix of NBA talent and other overseas talent, guys like Kevin Pangos, Melvin Ejim. And they get it now too. They're like, okay, if we got to compete, we got to keep players together. We got to learn the culture. We got to prepare as a team, but we got to learn the FIBA game, and we're starting um, to do that in a way that not only can you learn it, you can make money off it, and you can be successful at it, and it'll help your career wherever you go.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting thing with this era of basketball now is, the foundation has been laid before us, but now we can be a little bit more creative with the influx of the talent, analytics, and all these great things that kind of uplift our basketball community. As far as Canada basketball now, that partnership is really a staple for your league. So, how did you identify that partnership for the future of the league in terms of like expansion plans, and what you guys are trying to do now with bringing more international or global presence to
Well,
Canada?
the very first thing we did was do a partnership with Canada Basketball, over 5 years ago, and because it's the right thing to do. I think your national federation, the one that should be at the top of the pyramid, needs to be someone you partner with so you can grow the game together. And I would suggest that we both helped each other in those early stages, because we were providing avenues for success on the court, off the court, awareness on the court, off the court. We operate as a for-profit business, so we operate different than a federation does. A federation is there to do different things, and we're a nice complement to that, because we start to wave the flag and we start to market around the game. And if you've noticed over the last several years, Canada Basketball has really stepped it up in terms of getting on the marketing bandwagon, and really trying to raise the level, and showcase our players. So that relationship was incredibly important, from playing FIBA, by having high Canadian content, because that was incredibly important. Getting into the communities we play, at the developmental side of what we do, whether it's through youth sport or junior NBA camps, etc. And then the connection to FIBA, because that connection to FIBA through the National Federation is really your key to unlocking the rest of the world. And that, clearing players through Canada Basketball to make sure their contracts can come over, etc. It's just the right way to work. And we looked at all the other leagues that are either still around or long gone, and their reasons for doing things were not in line with ours, and certainly not in line with the future of Canada basketball. That's their choice. Our choice was different. Our choice has been successful because we've stuck true to that, and it's important that we stick true to that. But just that affiliation with Canada basketball is the reason we're playing in the Champions League of Americas under FIBA, and why we're able to travel our teams all over the world and showcase not only the CEBL but Canada and our Canadian talent. So you got to do the homework, you got to do the legwork, you got to do all that. That's why it took a
Yeah.
year and a half before we actually tipped off, because we got to make sure we did it right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a testament to the organization you guys got over there, because we've been able to see that growth, especially on the media side. The internal marketing efforts has been outstanding, I should say, and just understanding like branding and the storytelling aspect of the sport is very good. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about your upbringing. Obviously, a Hamilton native. What was some of your cultural influences as far as like sports growing up? What was
I
that
was
like?
born into a football family, so my the Morreale
Okay.
side, my dad's side was huge Cat fans. The Masadi side, which is because I'm related to Paul Masadi, was a longtime Argo player. They were in all
Yeah.
types of sports, and it was just a rite of passage that sports were a big part of my life growing up. I didn't know any different, and I loved it. It was the greatest thing in the world, and I was able to look, you know, around. Even my own family was my dad who went to university and played football, or my cousins that played in the CFL, and be influenced by them, and then sitting at the stands at Cat games at the old Iverwood Stadium and watching those players play. I mean, I've said it before, but me being able to sit there as a kid and watch professional football and aspire to be them, it connects the dots. And that really didn't exist in Canada for young kids. So when I see a lot of the youngsters, men, women, everybody come to our games now, they can see something in front of them that is achievable if they put their mind to it. It's real. It's going to be there. It's a platform. It's a destination. Not everybody go to the NBA, not everybody go to the NCAA, not everybody go to U Sport or CCAA. So this is really, you got to start that goal setting early, and just by providing the platform that does that. So that's the way I grew up. I was, I played. Truthfully, I didn't play football until in grade 10. My dad wouldn't let me, so I spent 16 years as a soccer player.
Wow.
Played a ton of soccer,
Oh
and I played
wow.
goalie. And I think, in hindsight, that was really what made me a better receiver, is because my reaction to the ball, I'm able, just to visualize it, etc. I never really thought about it at the time. But yeah, I didn't start till grade 10, and then I was just fortunate to be pretty good, and then it just took off from there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then talk about playing for your hometown team and actually winning a Grey Cup. Like, what was that feeling like? And obviously being able to do it in front of your family and friends. Like, what was that
Oh, it was
experience like?
incredible, and actually, I got there was a couple experiences that were both, highlights in my career. In 1996, it was my second year with the Argos. I got picked up from there to them first, which was fantastic. From a Hamiltonian perspective, they didn't like me too much.
Yeah, I was about to say might have that
I
crosstown
still get it to
rivalry.
this day. To this day, I still get, like,
Yeah,
why'd you go to the Argos? But the first time around,
yeah,
I had no choice. They picked me up, and I was like, I'll play anywhere. I'd play on the moon if there was a team. And then in my second
yeah.
year, Doug Flutie came to town. We had Doug was just the most incredible football player I've been around, and Pinball was there, and my cousin Paul was there. Was a lot of good athletes, but we played in the Grey Cup in Hamilton. So even though I didn't have the Hamilton jersey on, that Grey Cup took place at Ivor Wynne Stadium. So I'll never forget the feeling I had that morning on game day, driving by Ivor Wynne and looking over and going, "Holy man! Like this is it. It's come full circle, right? That's where I was as a 5 year old, and
Mm,
here I am, 96, 20 years
wow.
later, looking out in the field and realizing that I got a chance to play. We were fortunate. We won that game. So being able to hoist that trophy in Hamilton. Now, as a member of the Argos, they weren't too happy, but for me personally, it was like a thrill. And
Yeah,
then that was replicated.
yeah.
I was fortunate to go back to the Grey Cup in '98 as a member of the Ticats. We lost in the last second field goal. And then we just kind of said, well, we're not going to have that happen again. In '99, we went back, played the same team, Calgary Stampeders, and basically blew them out in Vancouver to win. And then that moment, bringing that trophy back to Hamilton, was again just one of those memorable experiences to see your name inscribed on the trophy, and for me to do it for the city that I grew up in, right? So that was a really incredible moment, and it hasn't been done since, which is kind of sad. We're the last team in
Wow.
1999 to win in Hamilton.
Yeah,
So, I'm getting tired of being the last guy to do it, or the last group of guys to do it. But truthfully,
yeah.
those moments. So, I'm heading down today in a little bit to go see the Montreal team. They're in town to play tonight against Hamilton, and I'm going to talk to those guys. I got to talk to all our teams, and the really cool thing about not just Montreal but all their other teams is the local players that are playing now in their home province or in their home market. So they are now what I was like, right? So I can relate to them, and I can impose maybe some wisdom on
Absolutely.
them, or not even that, just some. I understand where they're coming from, and I want them to savor the moment,
Mm.
because these moments don't happen too often. So it's really cool to see that come full circle and to have a part in it, just from a different side of the ball and a different sport. So, but it's really incredible to be able to
Mm.
participate in that.
Yeah, and I think I can kind of relate to that in a sense, being like a Scarborough native myself, and just having so much like imprint on the basketball culture, and looking up to the guys, like the obviously the Jamal McGlures and the Denham Browns, and a lot of these guys that really laid the foundation for guys like me to take it serious, and to now see that we actually have a team and we feel a part of that because we kind of represented it, and we really put Scarborough on the map from a young age. And my good friend Daniel
Yep.
Mullins is in a Niagara jersey, but he's one of the staples in the community as well, right? So obviously, talking about the new franchise in Scarborough, how do you think that's going to play out in terms of like the competitiveness in the league? We obviously know J. Cole's involved. We're going to get to your thoughts on that, but um, the whole Scarborough, bringing it as the GTA's first team. What was that like? That whole
It was
process.
really interesting. We as a league, we were a little bit reluctant to go into Toronto area ourselves,
I'm not sure I understand.
because I really believe that you got to have certain markets require the right people and the right people that understand the community. And when you talk specifically about a place like Scarborough, there's a defined community. Like it is, Scarborough is Scarborough. I remember making the comment once about, it'll be Toronto's team. I'm like, well, it's going to be Scarborough's team first. Like, it's not going to be Toronto's team until it's
Yeah,
Scarborough's team.
absolutely,
And, I was at
absolutely.
their event
Yep.
the other night as they had a little season holder tip off, and like you knew there was a lot. You guys have your way of chatting and talking and all of, and I
Yep.
felt like, man,
Absolutely.
okay, I get it now. Like I get it because I'm immersed in it.
Yeah.
And when you bring in guys like
Hmm.
Sam Ibrahim and Nico and these guys that have grown up there and have struggled to get to where they are and are doing this for the right reasons, it was just a match made in heaven, right? They were doing it because they want to give back to the community that molded them, that helped them be successful. And it was full of trials and tribulations, but because of that, they prospered. So the shooting star name, everything is affiliated with that, has a purpose, has a meaning. Um, and that's when those discussions started. I was aware of the dynamics of Scarborough and the surrounding area, but I didn't understand it as well as because I didn't grow up in Toronto. I grew up, you talk about Hamilton, I get
Yeah.
Hamilton, talk Stony Creek,
Absolutely.
etc. But so it
Yeah.
was very cool, and it's something that's really important to all our teams, and that is the how you identify with the community and how you ingrain yourself with the community, because you can't just be there for 10 home games or whatever it may be. You really got to create a presence and you really got to create a connection. And that was a really cool thing about taking our time and being patient and allowing a group like OVO and like Sam and everybody to come to the forefront and then do it the way it should be done, under our guise, under our platform, but to make it their own.
Yeah, and it's crazy because their home arena is less than 500 meters
No
away from
way.
my high school. So when I was going to high school at Pope John Paul Catholic, there was like an open field where Pan Am lays. So just to see now, like you could go back to your community and your alumni, like Alma Mater High School, and see that they have like a really good developing multi-purpose space in the Pan Am, and now having a team. And we just, like I said, I would love to see the community and the kids having access to go to these games. That's my biggest that would be my biggest joy, because as a guy that does a lot of community work myself through sports, it's very important to give these kids, like you said, like that hope, to let them see like that they can be whatever they put their mind to, because there's guys that grew up just like myself, or like you said, guys like Sam and Nico that have that relevance and connection to the
Yeah,
culture as
no,
well.
I mean, listen, that venue is the first step towards something even bigger and better in Scarborough. There will be a new venue. It will be a destination for all people that are from Scarborough. It'll be part of the CEBL and the Scarborough Shooting Stars. But that group behind it wants to invest back in the community. So, the Pan Am Center now is going to be amazing, but it's only going to fit a couple thousand people. And those tickets aren't going to be easy to get.
Exactly.
So, how we
Yeah.
engage with the fans outside the arena in all the open spaces. How do we get the community there? So maybe you can't get inside it. We understand, but how do you participate? How are you still part of the team, part of the event? So
Mm.
that's the beauty of playing in the summer and providing those kind of other areas to congregate and get together and really feel like you're bringing people together. So um, that's the incredible part. It won't just exist inside the building. It should exist in the whole community.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what are your thoughts on, obviously, J.Cole, the mega rap star, one of the greatest rappers of this generation? Like, what is your thoughts on like him coming to the league, and like how would that help build your league from a branding standpoint, and with his whole unique commercial value and media value as
Well, I got
well?
to say, when I first heard about it, which was about month and a half ago, yeah, I was just thrilled that there's somebody, of his stature that wanted to play. And I followed him in the BAL, so I understood. And I know that,
Mm-hmm.
he's always been a fan of basketball and had this desire to do it. But when I first heard it, I'm like, cool, this guy wants to come play basketball. Let's treat him as a basketball player. Let's go. What do we need to get done to get the deal done? And whatever. And I had underestimated the impact it was going to have. I knew it was going to create some buzz. I didn't expect it was like incredible. And what
Yeah.
makes it so incredible for me is it shines a light on the CEBL, which shines a light on Canadian players and the other players in our league. I don't want to just
Mm-hmm.
discount the other players because they're part of our league, but it brings attention to something that you couldn't pay that. You couldn't pay that amount of money ever to market to that extent, broadly across not just Canada, North America, all over the world. I mean, it was really incredible and sometimes overwhelming. I'm still trying to catch up from it, to be honest with you. But that was
Yeah,
never,
exactly.
at least in my mind, and I know in Nico's mind as well, because of the relationship and everything, that this was all done for the
Mm-hmm.
right reasons. And I knew that. And I guess when you do things right, then good things happen. And that the good things that happened were worldwide recognition of what we do. And that only helps our league grow and helps attract more players and helps shine a light on the guys we got. And to be honest, when I got to meet Jay, there could be a nicer dude in the world that's just down to earth. He just wants to be a basketball player. And we didn't talk music. We didn't talk entertainment. He was busy taking notes, listening to the coach and shooting shots and staying late and coming in early. We have a competitive league. This is going to be a challenge, right? We got guys that can play. We got guys that
Absolutely.
have gone to the NBA. We got guys that have
Absolutely.
played in the NBA.
Yeah.
This is going to be a challenge. This is not going to be, hey, roll right in. I hope it is. But for any player, it's a challenge, and that
Mm-hmm.
it should be that way.
Yep.
So he's accepted that challenge.
Absolutely.
He's got more pressure on him than we do on us. But that's
Oh,
what he wants to accept. And hey, listen, if you tell me we got this player that has the passion, that works hard, that wants to commit, then let's give it a show. Let's give it a shot.
yeah, for sure. And I think like you said, in terms of like the marketing and from a business standpoint, that's advertising you can't pay for. You can't put a price tag on that. As far as the basketball, though, obviously being here for limited games, I'm not too sure if he will play the whole season. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how it unfolds in terms of like how he fits, playing style. We do, like I said, he does have some shooting ability, and I've actually got to see him work out a couple times in New York and stuff like that. So I'm here for it. I would love to see like him on the court and compete. But yeah, there a lot of players that are going to be coming
Oh,
for
you
him.
better
Let's
believe it.
just keep it. Yeah, let's just keep it simple and plain. So it's like I said, that competitive like atmosphere is what I would love to see with the league. But at the same time, it's good to see the viewerships now that are going to go up and potential opportunities that are going to open up for more players and as I'm talking about this now, let's get into more of like the future. So when we talk about the future of the CEBL and like expansion plans and emerging markets, like what goes through your mind with that?
Well, we have a plan. I mean, and our plan is, it has to be flexible because we've learned anything through COVID. You got to just be able to just turn on a dime sometimes. So, but our game plan, which 5-6 years ago was, yeah, we'd get to 12 teams one day. Now I'm saying, oh no, we can do better than that. We'll probably be 14 to 16 teams. We want to get into Winnipeg, want to get into Calgary, want to get another team in the BC area, Quebec City, East Coast, and really get to a divisional model. And because when we play is part of our secret sauce because it's the downtime in international basketball, G League, NBA. So we attract very, very, very high level talent because they have to train for their next year, and they usually go to a gym and do it on their own or play pickup games. We're providing the platform to play in
Mm-hmm.
meaningful, real, highly competitive games on national, international television with scouts watching that can get you better contracts, that can get you better opportunities. So, we want to be in markets that can support that. And we want to be in big markets. And, because we play in that window, we're kind of limited in time, right? Seasons end around this
Mm-hmm.
time, seasons start up just kind of when we finish. So we have a
Yeah.
finite amount of time So if we get to a divisional model, we can actually cut down some of the cross-country travel, which will open up some more days, which
Absolutely.
will allow us to go from a 20-game schedule to a 24 or a 28. And that means the guys get paid more. That means fans get to see more. It just means more basketball. So that's kind of where we're heading. I would suspect in the next 2 to 4 years, we may be at that number. We could be there a little bit earlier. There's been a lot of talks that I've had, and that's my role, right? My role is to not only oversee the league from a commissioner point of view, but to grow the league and manage the operation of the league, and that includes expansion and finding new ownership groups and a whole bunch of stuff, broadcast, national partnerships, you name it, media, and it's a fun time to be in basketball in Canada, and I'm excited I have a chance to help shape a little bit what the basketball community will look like.
Yeah, and I think the change is inevitable, but in terms of like when we look at the NBA, for an example, one of the most international progressive leagues, and you see a guy like Adam Silver now getting the play-in tournament and just spicing things up. How do you think the CBL can do similar things in the league that will like kind of spicing the game up a little bit? Obviously, you talk about the ELAM ending and stuff like that, but in terms of like the play-in tournament, you did the bubble a couple years ago. Like, what are some ways you can kind of spicing up the league from that
Well, I
perspective?
think, part of that strategy I just talked about of getting to the divisional model, creating rivalries, having more games, etc., looking at expanding our playoff structure a bit as we add more teams, maybe have, divisional championships and you culminate to national championships. The Elam ending is a huge one. We're the only league in the world that plays it. The coaches wanted to kill me when I put it in, but it's like you gotta see it to believe it, and you'll appreciate it's like backyard basketball, right? So when that clock shuts off, on the first stoppage under 4 minutes, we had 9 to the leading team score, and you just run in to chase that number. Both teams are. So gone are the ticky-tack fouls and the needless timeouts because it doesn't work like you can't put the other team on the line, right? Because every point counts, and it counts even more because there's a hard limit. So that's important. And even changing the way we do our playoffs in terms of matchups and how we do that. We're always open to be different because we feel like, well, we got a group of people and owners and presidents and players that are willing to try different things. We paid our players in crypto. We've done a lot of stuff that has been, maybe we move a little quicker than most because of how we're structured. We're a single entity model, so the league owns 9 of the teams, and Scarborough obviously is owned by the guys I mentioned before. So the decision making is quite fast, and it's quite seamless, and it's easy, and that allows us to do a lot of those things like survive COVID.
Okay, that's interesting, and I wanted to get your take on women's sports. I know that I've read a couple articles before, and there's actually a really alarming rise of women's sports. And do you see the CEBL getting interested in like maybe developing a women's side as a subsidiary company, or encouraging, the implementation of like a women's league or a women's team in the WNBA
Absolutely.
one day?
And I've mentioned this publicly. Like we are here to support the development of a women's league. We've already done all the hard work in terms of the infrastructure and the rules and how to operate on game days. We've laid the blueprint, and we want to be the operational partner. We want to say, hey, let's use our platform, let's use our markets, let's use everything we've accomplished in connection with Canada basketball. Because it's really important to them. Our women are 4th or 5th in the entire world, and they practice only a few weeks a year together. I mean, can you imagine if they were here all the time and they were playing all the time? The
Oh,
competition was
absolutely.
together all the time. We've seen it on the men's side. From the rosters we had in 2019 to the roster we have today is night and day. And I thought it was really good in 2019. So it just keeps getting better. But the women deserve a place to play. The only thing standing in our way right now is because we didn't, as a league, have a business plan for a women's side out the gate. And truthfully, we're still a startup. So we need to continue on our plans on the men's side. And we need to find some either, some investors, private investors, or partners on the sponsorship side or government or whatever it is has to invest into women's sport. There's no other way to put it. I mean, they have to invest in sport in general. They have to invest in the sport of basketball in general. There's not enough facilities. There's not enough, spectator facilities. There are none, quite frankly. So this really needs to be an all-in effort. But we're in, and Canada basketball's in, and now it's like, okay, what do we do to get this thing across the finish line?
Absolutely. So, in your wildest dreams growing up in Hamilton, would you ever envision yourself being the spearhead of one of the most progressive Canadian sports leagues?
No, not if you said it was basketball. If you would have told me one day you'd be the head of the CFL and you'd be changing the culture and trying to make it better, that would have been a believable dream to me, because that would have been something that I would have said I want to do. I never thought about it in basketball. It never entered my mind, but it was the greatest gift given to me, because I'm in a sport that I love. I'm in a sport that's representative of the whole community and the whole country. And I'm surrounded by people that are excited every day about what we're doing, and it's growing. So, and I can be creative. And so in that respect, yeah, I got everything I want and more. I love this job. Not a better job in the world. I'll have this job until somebody tells me I don't. But yeah, it's exciting times to be part of this and to help all, yes, we're a men's league, but really we're trying to influence the whole basketball ecosystem to make everybody come together. It's a bit fragmented, as you probably know, growing up in it. So how do we grow? How do we grow these groups to come together instead of feeling like they got to compete? Because people get left out if they compete. But everybody together, good things can happen.
Absolutely. They say in the African proverbs that you go further together than to struggle alone. In terms of media side, like in viewerships, like obviously we don't have a robust like leader as in like an ESPN. So in terms of like live coverage and like getting more eyes on the leagues, what are your plans?
Yeah, so we're very happy to have a 3-year deal with the CBC. That expires at the end of this season. Obviously, they want us to return, and we're also already discussing other broadcast avenues, both domestically and internationally. So, ideally for us, CBC is a tremendous partner, and they add a lot of value, and they provide free coverage across the whole country. And that, to me, out the gate was really important, was the access. But there are some limitations because they're not a sports channel. And some of our linear, live TV games are on windows that, aren't the best windows, let's say in the summer. So we're going to work on that with CBC, but we're going to also find a dedicated sports station that people already go and watch and see. And that will immediately help us, from a perception point of view, from an awareness point of view, even more so than now. So those conversations are ongoing right now. We have a great company out of the US that heads that up for us. It's something that we're going to invest in because, we're at the point now that we need to be on. Our games need to be on all the time because there's enough talent here that it should be seen. So right now you can watch, if you're in Canada, you can watch games on our live games, which most of them are back-ended. We got 10 live games or 10 TV games near the end of the year, leading into championships and playoffs, etc. But all 107 games are on CBC Gem, on their app, on cbcsports.ca, and then on our own native OTT platform called CEBL Plus. So if you want to watch us, even if you're in anywhere, Dubai, you can pick up a game on CEBL Plus and watch the CEBL. So that was really important as we continue to grow and expand our media side of the business, because we really are, as much as we play basketball, we're a media content company. We're churning out media and content every day.
And I think that's very important that you said that. I think a lot of the forward-facing progressive leagues are actually starting to implement that media side because it sells, right? We're in like a media crazed society, and we talked about the implication obviously earlier of J.Cole being a part of this now, and now there's more eyes, and you have Shams from The Athletic tweeting, and he never tweets about Canadian.
No, he was hunting me down for like weeks. I got to give him credit, man. He called me every
Yeah,
day and
yeah,
texted me every day, and I said, I got nothing to tell you, Shams, but you'll be the first to know. And he was. He was
yeah,
the first to know. He dropped it.
yeah,
Um, but that interest, I mean, you're talking about him and Woj are like 1 and 2 in
yeah,
pro basketball,
absolutely.
right? So just them
Yeah.
recognizing us gives us a lift, and that's really cool.
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to tap in with before I let you get back to your busy day, is more of like the financial, like, or the economic model. So obviously, like growing as an upstart, I guess what are some ways you can kind of grow the league in terms of like getting more like people involved to kind of invest and believe and buy in the future of the
Well,
CEBL.
we've certainly that started. Obviously, Nico and Sam are a great indication of people are paying attention and they're liking what we do and they want to invest in not only their team but they're also part owners of the league itself, right? So every team owner that comes on as we piece off some of our existing teams will be equal shareholders in the league. So the goal is to grow the league because without the league, there is no teams. The teams don't matter. You need that strong foundation. Without the NFL Shield, there's no Buffalo Bills. Like you just gotta really build that. We do have a lot of interest from private equity groups and venture capitalists and people that want to invest because they see what we're doing. Um, we're a gate-driven league, right? For the most part, that's what most leagues in Canada are. We want to move to, obviously you'll always be a gate-driven league because you want to sell tickets. We want to move more on the sponsorship and media and broadcast side to help with other revenue streams to help us grow. But overall, the investors are out there. I know because I talk to them. We just want to do things right. We want to do things with the right people, and we want to do things at the right time, and we want to continue to maximize value and provide more opportunity for our players to play.
Yeah. Okay. What are you most excited about to see today on
I,
opening
I
day?
you know, I'm at the Hamilton game tonight. We got two other games. I think one in Ottawa and one in Saskatchewan. And I'll make my rounds as the week goes on and the weeks go on. But I just want to see that competitive fire. Like I'm excited to see fans back in the building, and I'm excited to see these players hit
Yeah.
a court for real. Right? They've been sitting in training camps or coming off other seasons, and now they're at home. In their home country. Um, Love seeing the imports that our teams have brought in because they've been handpicked. We have a new international roster spot this year, so you're going to see guys from Greece and from Nigeria and from France and England and all over the world join our rosters, and that's really cool because again, it expands our global footprint, but it also helps us because these players have played FIBA style basketball since they've been this big, and that's all they know. So their skill level, their thought level of the game is a little bit superior to ours in terms of how they understand the game. What the Canadian
Mhm.
basketball, what Canada basketball has, it's different than most other countries in the world, is the pace in which we play and the athleticism. So the combination of that athleticism and getting to understand the FIBA game is a real dangerous combination for other teams because if we can master the art of FIBA but not lose our athleticism, then we're going to do very, very well on the international stage. And it all starts here in our home league. So that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, me as well. I want to see some great ball. I want to see obviously a championship in Scarborough, but maybe I'm talking too soon. But with that being said, thank you so much, Mike, for joining us here and sharing your story. I'm very grateful to have opportunity to share this with our platform. Also, I know the basketball community been waiting to hear about the expansion stuff with the community and stuff like that. So now I can rest my case now, and I'm definitely looking forward to catching some games in the arenas if I can get tickets. But yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch, and thank you
My
once again.
pleasure. My pleasure.